And CEO of Geltrude Business Technology Solutions, Michael Geltrude. Michael, good morning. This is something we really need to dive into. So under the Biden-Harris administration, we've seen inflation rise to a 40-year high. And despite it dropping now to just over 3%, you know what? That is still more than twice the 1.4% figure that we saw when she and Biden first took office. Michael, we really need to know what Kamala Harris believes economically, because if she turns out to be the official Democratic nominee, which is it's looking like she would be, everyone needs to know what they are voting for. I mean, the New York Times came out just 2 days ago and said Kamala Harris is even more progressive than Joe Biden when it comes to economics. It is very scary when you look at what she believes. She really wants to push the student loan forgiveness. She wants to raise corporate tax rate from 21 to 35%. Michael, break more of this down for us.
So, yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more of the same and maybe even a little bit more in terms of progressive policies in place here. I think when you look at the Biden administration, it's become, and the economics around it, it's become very synonymous with the word inflation. I think if you look back 3 or 4 years ago, the average American would not have been talking about inflation at all. And now it seems like that's all we can talk about. Human beings have 3 basic necessities: food, water, and shelter. All 3 of those are up at least 15% over the last 3 years. How can anyone really feel good about that? And one more point that I want to make here is that I think she's going to try to sell the message, as crazy as it sounds. It could have been worse. What kind of message is that to sell the American people in an election year?
Well, Michael, I think that's the only message that maybe they have. I mean, she also wants to push for universal health care. We see how well that's doing to our friends to the north in Canada. Raise tax credits for anyone making under $100,000. Give more money to the lower class. I mean, hello, welcome to socialism. You take from the rich, you give to the lower class. Socialism has never worked in any country in the history of the world. So people, I really, really hope that people go and look at what she wants to do economically. Let me tell you, your 401k, your IRA, it will mean almost nothing under Harris. So let's move on a little bit. We have to talk about the airline industry right now. My goodness, Delta still struggling to get back on track after a reported CrowdStrike update caused a massive tech outage around the world. I mean, that happened Friday. Delta still struggling. The airline needing to cancel over 1,000 flights Monday as it struggles to just fully restore its systems. Michael, I'm sure if you just scroll through X quickly, you are seeing videos from people, even in my hometown airport in Atlanta. People have been stuck there for 4 days. What does Delta need to do to get itself back on track?
I think Delta really needs to remember that they're in the customer service business above all. The customer is always right, and you have to focus on making the customer happy. There's plenty of lower budget airlines out there that could just lower prices and keep the experience as is. But the only way they're going to entice people to come back to them is to make travel easy, to make travel fun. And to keep everything in line with where, you know, consumers want it to be. They want to travel. And the other thing I'll say here is, don't ruin people's summers. Focus on the experience, and let's get rid of these delays and cancellations.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. I'm just seeing reports from everybody who is still stuck in Atlanta saying they've reached out to Delta. They've received no information. They've received no help. Delta is kind of known as one of the top airlines with their customer service. So they really need to get this handled. So a new poll from analytics firm Civic Science finding only 16% of Democrats look favorably on Tesla, following the company's CEO Elon Musk endorsement of President Donald Trump. No shock there. This is down 30 points from what they found back in January. Michael, do you think Tesla will be able to dominate the American EV market despite that boycott from the left?
The American EV market is tough as a whole. It's hard to really break through and hold on to that market share. But on top of it, Elon's really put himself into a tough spot here. It's tough to make people on both sides of the aisle happy whenever you make a political statement. I think if I'd have to give him any advice here, I would use the quote from Michael Jordan where he said, "Republicans buy sneakers too." Yes, there's freedom of speech, and that's a great thing. But he also knows that there's consequences to putting his opinion out out there so publicly. We'll see how it all plays out, but ultimately the customers, the consumers will really tell the story of where Tesla is going over the next few years.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think if we know Elon Musk, he does things after thinking about it for quite a long time. He knew the ramifications of coming out and endorsing Donald Trump. So I think, like you said, I think he's very well aware of the pushback he would have gotten from the left. So we would certainly be following Tesla in the next few months. Michael Geltrude, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Such a pleasure having you on.
Thank you.